I'm on a place called Hospital Road, and there's a reason why it was called Hospital Road, because the Medfield State Hospital was on here, and I will confess that as a young girl, as young as about 6 years old, the place always intrigued but made me sad as well, a bit frightened too. I'm very much of an empath, and every time that we had to drive by here, this was called Old Route 27. They cut through new Route 27, which is, as I turn in back of me, and there's a couple of reasons that I'm here. It's over across, if you look at those trees, it's on the other side of those trees. So there is a reason that I'm here. Is I have a funny story of my own to tell, but also too, I thought as an FYI, right across the way there, I believe that Medfield was the first state hospital in the country that used what they called cottage architecture. They're all small little individual buildings there, but there was indeed one large newer hospital right where I'm filming. It's been since torn down, and when it was closed, in between their closing it and tearing it down, it was used to film a movie. So for all Leonardo DiCaprio fans, right there, right ahead where I am pointing my camera, is the building, no longer standing, where they filmed Shutter Island. And so for all you Leo fans, yes, he was here, and Martin Scorsese was here in my little town. The state hospital, I remember this as a child. It had a siren that was very different sounding from a regular siren. It was like the most mournful foghorn you ever heard. And I think it had to do with if a patient escaped or they had a problem there. And I just remember that used to chill me to the bone. I'm so much of an empath. I shouldn't say was, I still am, that this will be covered in another video. I've always been able to know when people are going to pass on to the next existence. That one is a real tricky one. It's a big part of who I am. So I believe that it needs to be told. I just don't know how to best tell it, because it's a curse. It absolutely is a curse, but it absolutely is true. Well, I don't want to get too heavy right now, but I will tell my story. It's kind of an amusing tale. What I'm trying to do is, I have so many stories that I wanted to share, but also they're tales of Massachusetts and New England, but I'm thinking Massachusetts in particular because it's my state, of stories that you don't hear all the time. And it seems when I listen to YouTube stories, I hear the same ones over and over again, or some new ones. I hear a lot of interesting ones. I shouldn't say that, but the fact that mine belong to me, I want to be the one to tell them, and the fact that I've grown up with stories that I haven't heard yet on YouTube that I'd like to share. I mean, we all hear the Salem witch trials, the same things over and over. So I want to touch upon things that I've personally experienced, but also stories that have intrigued me since I was a youngster, that I've known all my life. And I'd really like to share those because I haven't heard them on YouTube yet. So here's my story. I'm going to lighten things up a bit. My brush with a UFO, and no, there is nothing paranormal about this. So I will swing the camera around here and go back to facing where the junction would be for New 27. And one night, I was driving home, and sure enough, I saw something that looked rather, okay, I'll say cigar-shaped, because it did narrow on both ends and was wider in the middle, bright light hanging low in the sky, and it was dark. It wasn't fully dark, because I do believe, trying to think of the month, I want to say it was September. I'm pretty sure it was. So it doesn't get dark all that late anymore, but still it's not super early getting dark. And I saw this thing hanging in the sky, because this area is very dark at night. There are no streetlights on the New 27 part. So I was driving along home, and after seeing that, I knew full well, right, there's no way in God's green earth that this thing was a UFO. But you know, I'm one of those better safe than sorry people. And little by little, I started seeing cars pulled over to the side of the road and people staring at it. So I said, I started getting a little bit nervous. I said, nah, it's nothing. It's zero. It's nothing. But I actually did accelerate, and I kept thinking to myself, they always land in empty areas, dark areas. Let me quick get to the center of town where there are people and lights and commotion. And I kept thinking to myself, don't bother me if you really are a UFO. Please, please take the fools who are pulled over on the side of the road. Long story short, I'm 99.999% sure I found out what it was. There was a game going on I'm not that far from Foxborough Stadium, and something was going on at Foxborough Stadium, and I did hear they did have the blimp there that always has ads on there. It flies over the stadium when there are games. So, considering the shape, and I knew full well right, it was not a UFO. Indeed, it was a blimp, I believe.